Welcome back to Sue's Structures. We're here for just another quick one evening build. I just want to show you a kit that, is really a good kit. We're going to build a jib crane, so stay tuned. So we're going to build a jib crane. A long time ago when I was building a building for the rip track in the car repair area of the Grafton yard, I got this kit and kind of put a couple pieces up together but never finished it. And a lot of the stuff around your model railroad that brings it to life is detail. And one of the things that almost every yard in the country had was a jib crane to move wheel sets or any type of heavy parts to the side of the track or off of trucks and bring it over to a car on a track for the maintenance that is needed for that car. Even full wheel sets, whatever, pick up the end of a car maybe so they could get a roll of wheel set underneath of the car. But a jib crane was just a very necessary tool in a yard. So, I have this one from Tichy that I bought a long time ago, and I'm just going to go ahead and build this and put it in a box somewhere, so when I have my layout, I've got another piece of, detail for my yard. So let's jump into this and do this. Now, I don't have much for pictures for the jib crane. I have a couple here that were from the more modern era, but remember I modeled the steam era, and I built this building before, so I definitely need a jib crane to go beside of it. And the one during the steam days was not this big and bulky. I mean, you can see this is a nice big steel structure that would be capable of lifting a whole lot of massive pounds up in the air. I do have this one picture from an earlier version of it, and I'm assuming this was around the 30s, but with the pictures that I came with. So, this is more the style of something that I want to build. Now, I don't want to scratch build this, but I had bought this one from Tichy a long time ago. So I'm going to use this as a substitute for the one that was in the yard. It's close, and I could add the two angle braces to it. This is kit number 8007 if you're interested in ordering one. Now, this kit is old, so I'm assuming it still has the same kit number and stuff. But basically it has a good exploded view of the parts that go onto it, and the parts on this are very, very small. This is another tweezer's job. Now, I had started this a long time ago and didn't continue it, so the top part of this I had put together to this point, and this is basically a three pieces, I think, that were pre-glued together prior to this video. And the base that mounts onto and turns has this crank that mounts onto the base turntable type of thing for the crane itself. So this was glued together as well. Now, the rest of the parts in that, there's basically three small assemblies and some chain that have to be put together to make up all the mechanical parts that put this together. So what I did was just separate out all the individual pieces, and this is the hand crank for the chain that mounts on that base, and it's just basically two pieces, and you use this kit didn't come with the metal dowel that went between them to hold them together, so I cut a piece of wire and basically glued this together. Now this is ready to mount onto the unit, and this is just the base of the chain hand crank. Now, the next piece is where the chain connects to the top of the jib crane out there. And the chain, I had to cut a small piece of wire because it goes between these two sets of pieces of pulley. And I had to get a drill and drill out, so I found one of the smallest drill bits I had to drill the holes in the two sides of that to get the wire to set back in. And this you have to snap together up on the assembly itself, and I just glued it together up there. I didn't snap it, it's permanently in place at this point in time. But you can see how the chain basically goes through the wire at the bottom of it there. The very other small part of this assembly is this hook point that goes down below. And there again, I did have to drill out where the hook point set back into the two side pieces. So once I have those pieces together, I need to come back and start assembling the whole thing as a whole. And I go ahead and glue down the main structure and beams to the basic base plate of this that would have turned. I'm not going to make it turn. But then I go ahead and glue the crank for the chain on the platform there that it needs to mount to. And basically that's the bottom part of this put together. The other part you saw, I put that top piece and pulley into place, and that bottom piece, the chain just goes down and loops through that. And then, you know, the chain needs to come down to that basically where that crank is. Before I did that though, I went ahead outside and spray painted. I didn't want to paint the chain, so I taped off the chain and the lower pulley so that it didn't get black paint on it. And meanwhile, while I'm doing all that, I wanted to mount this onto a concrete pad. So I had found a nice thick piece of concrete and came back and, you know, figured out how long I wanted the pad and basically drew where I was going to set that piece on there so that I could put some concrete paint on this. Meanwhile, I'm going back and forth, and I'm doing this while I'm working on all that other stuff. But I found my concrete paint, and I just come back and start putting some of that onto this base, except for where the thing's going to mount, because I want it to have good glue adhesion in that area there. And then once I had that paint on there, I glued that down and then wrapped the chain around the crank at the bottom of that. And basically that's the assembly together, you know. Other than working with tiny ports, it's not a hard assembly at all. Now I want to go ahead and pre-weather this a little bit, so I found a real stiff small brush, and I just get out my, you know, pastel chalks that I ground up into this container, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a dusting of rust on this with some of that orange powder that I had ground up. And basically that's all I'm going to do to this. It's ready to mount onto the railroad in my jib crane, yeah, right, whatever, at the end of my yard at some point when I get that built. So, you know, it's just another small project done and out of the way for future use. So there you have a quick one evening build. You know, this really didn't take any time to do. There are some very small parts in this, and it's a little tedious, but it's, you know, I have to use visors with almost everything I do because my eyes just are not that great. You know, I'm afraid to take a close-up look with anything more than my visors to see what some of my stuff actually looks like. But in any case, you know, this is just a nice detail kit to put together for your yard area. Jib cranes, like I said in the beginning of the video, were used in almost every yard, you know, that did maintenance on cars or locomotives or anything. You know, it's just a necessary part to your model railroad. And all the details are what make the model railroad, and this is just one little more part of those details. I mean, you need tons of parts laying around this in the yard as well, but, you know, this was the main part of all of that. So, you know, I'm glad to have this together for my Grafton yard. Even though it's not exactly the same as the original when it was there, you know, if somebody wants to nitpick me, they can nitpick me. But, you know, I'm okay with that. You know, I like this kit, and it went together easy. And, you know, when you're looking at an overall scene, if something like this is slightly different from the original, really most people, there are some nut and bolt people out there that would notice this wasn't exactly the same and might even go get some pictures to prove it to you. But, you know, it would have been functional in my yard. It would have served the purpose of a jib crane that was very needed in my yard, so I went ahead and built this. Just so most of you know, Tichy doesn't sponsor my channel or anything. I just use a lot of their parts. You know, San Juan is another good one out of California. They bought Grant Line, and now they sell, you know, all the Grant Line products. They're good products as well. It's just I've had an ongoing thing with Tichy for a long time. That's just who I've ordered most of my parts from over the years. They also have model train cars and a lot of things that are very good kits, resin kits. You know, and I have quite a few of those too. They have a steam crane that's really, really incredible. I've ordered flat cars and I don't know, a whole bunch of milk cars, a whole bunch of different cars from them over the years and built because they were just really good quality and highly detailed kits. So in any case, like I said, they don't sponsor me, but you know, Tichy is a very good company. Your orders go out immediately. They're reasonably priced for the high quality detail materials that you get from them, and they've been in business a while. You know, they are a very dependable, decent quality company. So in any case, I'm going to leave that from there, and we'll get on to working on my normal weekly projects too, and see what we can get done this week on those. Thank you for coming back and subscribing to my channel. If you're not subscribed, please do so, and press the bell icon. You'll be notified when things come out. Every once in a while I get some of these Tuesday videos out there. My main builds are on Friday evenings, so come back and share those, and you know, I appreciate you sharing the time with me. You know, thank you for coming out. Grab some stuff and scratch build. That's what this channel promotes. You know, happy model railroading.